Hello, it's Troy here, and today we have another new RPG to take a quick look at least the core rulebook. And this is the core rulebook for Star Trek Adventures. It's from Modipius Games. This is actually the regular cover. They actually have a special edition cover as well, which has a picture of the Enterprise. But this is what you would get at the regular price point. So this is a core rulebook. It's a 2D20 system, which Modipius has used now for several of its games. This one, Mutant Chronicles, Conan 2D20, and also a Infinity, which I have never seen to this point. But this is Star Trek, and on the inside cover, you get to see a map of the star map. So you're getting to see the Alpha and Beta quadrant. And on the flip side, you see, Alpha quadrant, Beta quadrant. So the main two locations where the original series, Next Generation, and I guess now the Discovery has taken place. Pretty cool map. Now the game book is done in this LCARS as per the Next Generation aesthetic. We'll do a quick look at the table of contents here. Chapter 1, Introduction. Chapter 2, United Federation of Planets. So some lore, your continuing mission. So we're looking at what a player character in this game consists of. Chapter 4 is more of the same. Chapter 5, character creation. Chapter 6, The Final Frontier, so more lore talking about the setting, conflict, so skills and or combat resolution, some tech and gear in Chapter 8. Chapter 9 is starships and star bases. Chapter 10 is a chapter on game mastering. Chapter 11, Adversary, so a bestiary of sorts. And Chapter 12 is a pre-written adventure. The book is very colorful. It is a white print on black background, so it kind of jumps out. I actually like the aesthetic. It does, however, leave fingerprints from time to time. The paper is thick and glossy. There's lots of beautiful art within the book. As you can see as I flip through, most of the lore is presented in dossiers and letters and stuff back and forth from different individuals within the Star Trek world. It's interesting because it's all in character and it keeps you grounded in the world. So even though there's things being introduced for the setting, it's not just setting lore. It's actually done in the first person format, which is quite interesting to read. It's not really efficient use of space, but it is definitely interesting. It's a beautiful book, very colorful. The art is also all original. You won't see any photographs from the TV series or the movies in here. Everything is illustrated. This one actually looks like it is directly from the show, but even still it's an illustration. It's not a capture from the TV show. So the system, 2D20, it's a system that I have yet to use, but its base premise is that you're given a challenge rating that you need to achieve. The player characters roll at least 2d20. They can roll additional dice if they use momentum spend and or assistance from an ally or the ship. There's different ways to get an additional d20 up to, I think it is 5 or 6 d20s. Now your challenge rating potentially could be something like 12 to 14 as an example, and your number that you need to roll to succeed will be based on your attributes and your discipline. So for instance, if you're trying to do a jump across a ravine and your daring was 10 and your security was 4, you would have to roll 14 or 100 to be successful. If you needed 3 successes on those d20s that you rolled, you would have to roll that many underneath that attribute plus skill. So if you were rolling under 14 and the challenge rating was 3, you'd have to roll 3 d20s under that score of 14. On each individual die, however, you have the opportunity to earn at more than 1, so 2 successes. That is, if you roll a 1, that's guaranteed 2 successes on a d20 roll. Also, there's something in the game called focuses. And if you have a focus in, say, acrobatics, which would be a viable focus for jumping across a ravine, and you would then use your discipline score, which was 4. So any d20 that you rolled that was under a 4 would generate 2 successes. So that's the basic rules of how one would achieve their challenge rating on any given task. However, there's much more to the system. Even though this is I would call it a rules light version of the system. If you were to compare it to Mutant Chronicles or even Conan, this one is definitely scaled back a bit in the rules, but even still there's some more depth there outside of just that basic d20 dice rolls. The momentum comes into play, and so does threat for the GM. The game is also pretty cool in the fact that it facilitates a supporting cast. So just like Star Trek, not every character is going to lead the bridge and or their role on the ship and go on away missions or do specific tasks that come up. So the game gets around that by having what's called supporting characters, and at any given time a player can sit their main character and take over control of one of these supporting characters so that they can better be involved in any given scene. I'm kind of torn on this. I haven't seen it in play yet, but it's one of the things that I'm apprehensive about going in, but look forward to seeing if it plays well or if it's just a mechanic that will... I understand why it's in there, thematically why it's there. I just don't know in actual gameplay how it's going to play out, but we'll see. So yeah, the book is very fleshed out when it comes to the setting. It's mostly based or generated towards the next generation era, but there's rules in here that help facilitate playing in the original series as well. It's a very pretty book, as you can see, and it is fully contained. They do have a book out that has more additional pre-written adventures in it, and I imagine they're going to do a couple volumes of that. I also can foresee them doing some different books that will introduce different races as well and different types of campaigns that can be played for that specific race. But as is, it's a self-contained game and one that I'm eager to try out on my channel. So if you're interested, you can check it out there. I am going to be running some one-shots from the one-shot group, and hopefully it's a game that I can also get played at home. I hope you enjoyed this flip through of the book, and it gives you some understanding of what you get in the product. So yeah, it's a very nice book. I'm very happy with it, but I'm not surprised because it does come from a game publisher that has been quickly putting out some of the favorite books in my collection. Cheers.